Hello Liverpool fans, welcome to another video, and of course we have some big and great news for you. Dave O'Cop, Liverpool source, has said that Liverpool are ready to pay Newcastle up to 60 million for Alexander Isak. A further 60 million would follow next year. The add-ons could bring the total fee to 140 million, 120 million guaranteed. Getting closer with the move. But before I get on to that in more detail, please give this video a massive thumbs up and hit the subscribe as well. It'd be greatly appreciated. But yeah, this came out and I was kind of like, wow, showing intention here, showing intent. I'm not too sure about the reliability of Dave O'Cop, but I've seen he's got quite a couple of things right this window, and genuinely a lot of Liverpool fans have sort of messaged me and said, he's not too bad, he's quite reliable and someone you're worth sort of using to make a video. And the general sort of reply to this is quite baffling, to be fair. In terms of 60 million up front, it would give Newcastle some leeway and ability to spend that money this summer. So if I'm Newcastle and Liverpool did bid that, I'd accept that straight away. It's very rare in football that you get 60 million as a first instalment. I'll give you an example. Arsenal, Declan Rice, 110 million pounds I think we bought him for. I think we're only paying 15 million as the first instalment, and it's spread over like 5 years of his contract. So that gives Newcastle so much money to deal with. And for Liverpool, it shows intent. Paying that much up front shows how much you value the player, how much you're willing to sort of agree with Newcastle in terms of their valuation. And it kind of made me sort of think, because the way that Newcastle fans have sort of responded to this, Indy Kyler has been kind of spot on with a lot of the Liverpool news this summer. Isak is a pure rat, so it is getting a little bit toxic, and it seems as though Newcastle fans have had enough of Isak's shenanigans. There was also reports from Ben Jacobs that he was training alone in Sociedad. I think there's like this Article 17, which means players can do that. But you can already tell, Isak has made it clear he wants to leave. He wants to get to a club where he can win trophies. It's his dream to win trophies. And Fabrizio Romano, if I do have a little bit of research of what he said about Isak, there was a development in terms of personal terms. Isak, personal terms. And I saw you guys like this setup where I'm on Twitter and I'm sort of talking the top right. Hopefully you do enjoy it. This was on the July the 30th. I think that's yesterday. Alexander Isak keeps waiting for Liverpool. He's only clear choice despite reports of Al Hilal and more clubs. Personal terms never going to be an issue. A choice has been made weeks ago. Isak also aware of LFC prepared for record bid if Newcastle open doors to sell. So, Isak is ready. He's ready. He's ready to make that move to Liverpool. And Newcastle fans, this will disappoint you, but we've got to take into account what the player wants to do, because the football career is very short. There's not much time for these footballers to sort of win a lot of stuff, and there's been a lot of talk as well. Arne Slot actually looking onto Isak. It was quite funny seeing this. I was like, wow, the way that football works, who would have thought that Arne Slot would be managing Liverpool and that Isak would be pushing to a move to Arne Slot. I think, yeah, he was the assistant manager of the opposition team at this time. So there's so many little blocks that you don't see on the journey that are quite interesting in terms of this Alexander Isak move. And a lot of people have been saying Liverpool are going to waste money by signing Isak. Liverpool are making the wrong decision. They have glaring holes down the pitch. But ultimately, games are won in the attack. And I think Liverpool fans can sort of agree that, yes, we have issues in terms of maybe central defensive midfield. But let's be real. Liverpool are going to sign another centre-half this summer. I don't see Liverpool not spending money to get another centre-half, because if you really think about it, Van Dijk, Konate, third centre-back is Gomez. One injury to Van Dijk or Konate and you're down to Gomez and sort of Van Dijk or Gomez and Konate. Then you've got to be thinking about Gravenberch at centre-half, Endo at centre-half. Liverpool aren't done. They have a lot of money to spend. They got a lot of money from sort of winning the Premier League. They had a lot of unspent money from last season. And I'm genuinely very excited for how this Liverpool team could look. As an Arsenal fan, I genuinely am. And we are looking at sort of the statistics that are coming up here. The most non-penalty goals per 90 in the 2024-25 Premier League. Isak is in the top 3. Rodrigo Muniz, a player that Newcastle are trying to replace Isak with, is up there as well. But it just shows you that Isak is able to generate stuff. He's a player with such a threat and such a way of playing, which is exciting, And I watched the game. I saw how Ekitike played. Ekitike is a fine player. But it's going to take him time. He's a young player. He's getting used to the Premier League, the intensity, getting used to Liverpool as well. I know that game wasn't the Premier League, but he's going to take some time to get up to speed. And imagine you've got Isak. Then you've got someone like Ekitike waiting in the wings. Gakpo off the left is a fine option to have with Engamoa as well, who, my word, I'm a massive fan of him. I'm a massive fan of Rio Engamoa. And I genuinely believe he is a player who would work so well with Isak in terms of combination play. I genuinely believe it. And as an Arsenal fan, Max Dowman is a player who's been impressing for us. These youngsters, 16 years old and 15 years old, they're top talents. You know, Liverpool are able to bring in someone like Rio from Chelsea, give them a pathway, give these youngsters a pathway, because ultimately it doesn't matter if you're going to buy these top-end superstars like Isak. You want to start from the ground up as well. Have top talents all the way through. Look at Manchester City's model. They have a lot of top players in their academy. They're able to spin them for profit or develop them into the first team. Foden is an example of developing into the first team. Players like Palmer, they've spun for profit. Obviously, they're now ruining that decision. But someone like Delap, again, spun for profit. This is what you call a winning business. And I saw some reports about Liverpool trying to get a multi-club model going. And that would be smart. It genuinely would be smart. Imagine having the players that you have, then you send them over to a team like Chelsea have Strasbourg, or you sell them to Strasbourg with a buyback clause, and if they do incredible stuff, you buy them back. A multi-club business is the way to go. It genuinely is. And that's how you stay sustainable. That's how you stay at the top for a very long time. And I've always wanted to see my club, Arsenal, as my sort of thing falls over here, do a multi-club model. Because I think that is really the way forward. And the way that Henry has been moving is unreal this summer. There's been a lot of talk about Liverpool's ownership and their lack of spending money. I think Liverpool fans will still sort of say it doesn't excuse them for not spending this summer. You know, it doesn't really make up for the times where they could have spent. You're thinking about the time where they won the title. The season after that, we didn't see enough ambition. They want to build a dynasty. And I don't blame them at all. How do you build a dynasty? Like I've just said, buy the young players, buy the superstars who are ready to contribute straight away, and stack talent. Look what Chelsea are doing. They're stacking talent. You know, the more you stack talent, the more likely it is for it to succeed. You know, I don't think you can fail stacking talent and stacking good players. I think it's impossible. As long as you've got the right manager, which they do in Arne Slot, who's ready to sort of bed these players in. He's confident enough. He's got the authority. He's got the sort of, I hate the word, but the aura to do it. You'll be fine. I genuinely believe Liverpool are moving forward and are going to be really exciting yet again next season, especially with this Isak big news.